Hello and welcome to the Sports Show with Bob Spina, where the NHL Finals have been reached. And maybe some surprises along the way have led us to what we have in terms of matchups, Bob. What did you think of the series? Did you have a favorite series of the conference finals? Which one
Yeah.
did you think was the best?
Um, well, you know what? It's weird. Dallas, as good as they are, and all the stats they have, and how many goals they scored in the playoffs, they've been playing like a team that can't score, and it came back to get them. I know that game went double overtime the other night, but Edmonton can really score, and they beat a really, really good Dallas team. They were the one seed, and I love offense, and I told you Gretzky taught me everything about offense. It can beat any defense and goalie in hockey. It's the most important thing. And again, it was proven because the team with the offense won. McDavid's team won. And as far as the Rangers go, I'm shocked. Well, you know what? Florida has a way. They just win games you never thought think they're going to win. And last year they were not very good. This year they were, but the Rangers were just as good, if not better. And they were dangerous. And I see Kip is showing his
So,
love.
so Kip has already joined us. Kip,
Yeah.
you need to say some words so the camera switches to you. What do we got for the world right now?
We have a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Mhm.
Enlighten us.
It's called a fake. I mean, I don't speak Italian, but apparently in the Italian language, it's called a fake. And I had this night. I don't know. You see the shirt? You get it. Looks like a
Kind of
Ranger jersey.
looks like
You
a
get the
Ranger jersey
idea.
to me. Yeah.
It looks eerily similar to a certain team's jersey.
Yes, it does.
A certain team that has now been defeated and eliminated from the playoffs.
I was waiting a while to wear this. I was
Well, I'm
getting
glad
worried.
you have the opportunity, and I'm
Okay.
glad you didn't have to wait till the next round.
So, true story. I got this scarf for the outdoor game in New Jersey. And it was a horrible defeat. Or if you, I mean, well, with help from the refs, that was a ridiculous show, whatever that was. And I kept the scarf, and I'm like, should I sell it on eBay? Should I just throw it out? And whatever, I had it in my drawer, and then I'm like, they're winning. I don't know how somehow they won those two games in Florida. Game three in Florida, I should say.
Right.
Stole that game. I threw the scarf out before game four in the dumpster.
Wow.
So I'm happy that Florida, won the three games since I threw that scarf out.
Yeah.
It's a
You know
damn
what?
good thing you threw that scarf out, bro.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
It made all the difference, believe
It
me.
did. It changed everything. You know what? The Rangers were so good this year, and the way they scored, it's almost like they would play around with you because they would let you score first, and then they would come, back later in the game and just beat you. And this time they just couldn't do that.
Well, goaltending. They didn't
Yeah.
have Anderson.
Yeah, Florida just has ways to. That's the double skunking. Last year they did it to Boston, who was all world, and this year they did it to a strong Ranger team. And you got to give them credit. None of us, I don't think, had them going to the finals. I think you did change it in the end, Kip.
No, no, no. I changed it to Florida over Vegas, and
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because in the beginning, I think we all had different teams, but
No, I had Florida Vegas, but then I changed to Florida winning the whole thing. I just thought it was if they got back this year, they'd win it. But I thought Vegas would be very scary if they got back as well.
okay. So, do you think
Yeah, I like Florida. No questions
that
asked.
you're going to beat Edmonton?
Yes, I do. In 5 games.
Okay. Well, you know what, though?
Prediction has already been laid. Now we also have Mr.
Gonna
E
go
who
six.
has
Yeah, I'm
joined
gonna go
us.
5.
Mr.
Yeah.
E, did you have
Mr.
a
E.
series that you liked better? Which one did you think was a better series?
Boy, that's a tough one. They were both pretty good.
Really?
I kind of thought the I kind of felt that the Rangers and Panthers series was a little more entertaining
For
overall.
sure. By far. I thought by far.
Yeah, to me, it seems again Dallas, for as good as they are, they kind of play like they're just okay. They,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, they don't take it by
Yeah.
the horns, and they've got a good enough team to do that. They could have had a
Yeah.
good enough team to win it all easily.
And I think Pavelski finally showed his age. Last year, he played like an all-star, was one of the best players on that team.
Right.
In the playoffs, they were dependent on him.
Right.
This year, the scoring, he's retiring. I think that
say
with that
retired
cap
to
money, they'll be able to get a younger player. Maybe they'll be able to upgrade that team this year. Maybe they'll be the ones winning the cup next year. It's not impossible.
Right.
But let's be honest about this year, right? I
Yeah.
think overall, the Panthers are the team that are playing with the most intensity and the most confidence.
Yeah, and they can turn it up on a dime. They didn't play their best hockey during the regular season on purpose. They were saving it for the playoffs while the Rangers were going all out every game trying to get the President's Trophy, which they did. And they got the Capitals in the first round, so it actually worked out beautifully for them. Um, because I thought the Penguins were a better team than the Capitals. I thought maybe even Buffalo would have challenged the Rangers more than the Capitals.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. The Capitals kind of backed in. You know, and yeah, I mean, to me, and we've seen the story play out before, right? Where the team that plays all out and wins the President's Trophy just doesn't have the gas to make a truly like deep playoff run, right?
But I mean, look, the last two President's Trophy teams that made the conference finals were the Rangers back in 2015 and now this year. They're the only two.
That
And
Did the
President's Cup was
Rangers
the
run out
biggest
of
move.
gas, or did they maybe go
no,
against
they
the
didn't run out of
team
gas. They
before?
got washed in the first round. They only had to play a 4-game series in the first round. The Rangers lost to a team that was better. I was worried about the Panthers' defense coming into that series. If anything, that was my only concern. And guess what? The Panthers' defense outplayed the Rangers' defense. If you wanted to compare the two, and they were great. And in Game 6, they were nearly perfect up until the last 2 minutes.
How much better do you think Florida was than the Rangers, Kip?
Well, I thought the Rangers stole game 3. I don't think they belonged in overtime. A Forsling post, a loud one in the third, would have made it 5-4. It was a complete collapse. Laviolette had to take a timeout just to settle them down. Laviolette won that game 3 for them with that timeout.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe they were up 2-1. They should have been down 2-1.
That's
They
what I
should have been
said.
down 3-1.
Right.
I mean, I don't. Usually, that's a 5-game series. The way that was played, Shesterkin let them stick around and even gave them hope to get into the 7th game.
You know what's funny? I have friends that are Ranger fans. I mean, right across the board. And I text one of them one day and I go, it's 2-2. You should be down 3-1. You're very lucky.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Settle down, boy." I'm like, "Oh," I'm just like, "Come on, it's the truth." It's. I mean, but you know what? They were good all year. I mean, you can't, and they scored a lot of goals too, and they were
Absolutely.
good. I mean,
Well, they scored a lot of
goals. To
goals.
bite you though, every year.
They scored a lot of goals, but they also ran into injuries. Fox
Right.
was playing hurt.
Right.
A lot of guys were hurt, like Hedel, and guys were in and out of the lineup for them. Guys being in and out of the lineup can definitely impact the stability of a lineup.
Well, VC,
Of
I
course.
thought him getting hurt really hurt the lineup because then they had to put Rempe in, and then they couldn't play him, so that then they had to put Wheeler, who hadn't broke his leg, who hadn't played in 4 months. Then they took him out of the lineup. They took Hedel in and out of the lineup, and then they played Brodzinski 2 games. So that VC injury really hurt the Rangers as far as their depth and that fourth line. And at the end of the day, Florida just was more physical, better defensively, and their top forwards outshine the Rangers' top forwards. Not because the Rangers' top forwards were bad. Panarin had a great season. I've been very critical of him, for many years now for his 5-on-5 play. His 5-on-5 play was pretty good in this series. You have to credit the Florida Panthers. Kreider was good. If you want to say you wanted a little bit more from Zibanejad, okay, fine. Lafreniere, who was gifted by the league to the Rangers as the number 1 overall pick in 2020. This was his coming out party, and a big reason was he played with Panarin, and he'd get open because of Panarin playing with him. They'd double him, and he'd be able to get the puck to Lafreniere a lot of times. And I just think also he's getting comfortable. He's 23 now. He should have a pretty good career. Maybe he'll be the Nugent Hopkins of the Rangers. Who knows?
Right.
Are we surprised that Edmonton made the finals? Now, by the way, I did pick them to make the finals, so kudos.
I'm always surprised by Edmonton winning any playoff series the last few years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I
I'll tell
agree
you.
with that assessment, because I think that, the Oilers haven't really had the defensive commitment as a team,
Yeah.
to go deep in the playoffs. They've had the offense. They've also struggled in goaltending, and you need to have at least timely goaltending to win games in the playoffs.
Mystery,
Um,
you're actually right, but Edmonton's doing something to prove my point the whole time. I told you guys once before that offense is more important than defense, especially in hockey. And they're there because they score. And that's what it is. Look, are they the best team? No. But you know
Look,
what?
they're going to run up against the Panthers defense,
Gretzky
and the
years ago taught
Panthers
me how
defense is going
important
to eat
offense
them
is.
alive.
Huh? Well, you know what? But Gretzky taught me long ago how great offense is and how important it is. And they got a little junior Gretzky there, not even close to him, mind you, but still pretty damn good. And they got that offense that's pretty damn good. And they keep winning games. So, yeah, if you can score, you win. You score, you win, no matter what the game, no matter
Yeah, but
what.
they're not going to be able to score against the Panthers defense, so that's kind of a
Don't be
moot
too
point.
sure about that.
So, Mr. E, are you alluding to a bit of a dominant performance by the Panthers upcoming in this series?
Oh, I would think so. Everything points to it.
Yeah, a lot of things. You know what, though? A lot of people thought that it was the Rangers' year. I'll tell you what.
Did Kip or I
Not
pick the
the
Rangers?
not the two Erics. We didn't think so.
No, but everybody else. I'm actually driving, like we're going to the game at City Field, and it was 2-2, and the preview was on, and the people on the radio, their heads were that big, and they're like, "Oh, this is '94 all over again. Oh, we're gonna win. Oh, we're great. Oh, we're this." And I'm sitting there, come on, Florida, shut them up because they're.
You went to a Mets game?
I went to all four. I was on the field for two of the four.
For which game? For which games?
Arizona. I know the manager.
Oh, okay. Arizona's kind of off to a bad start this year.
Yeah, they did, but they're starting to pick it up a little bit, and because everybody and their sister makes the playoffs in baseball, I think that should be okay.
People make fun of that, but the new format is not as bad as I originally thought in baseball. It's
Right,
pretty entertaining.
right.
I don't like the forced extra game. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're 5 games back, you shouldn't have to play a 1 game playoff. Yeah, now they have a 3 game series. I
Right,
guess
start
that's
there.
the resolution. So I
Mhm.
don't have a big. I mean, I don't think that he's the worst commissioner in sports. I think Goodell is in football. I think he's the worst.
Yeah, I guess it's because baseball's always kept it really close. Like
Yeah.
baseball was the last one to expand, like before the other sports did, or
No,
this
not
one.
hockey.
I'm sorry,
1967.
way before the other sports did. But the baseball took a long time to like get a wild card and get. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't have one, and I think it was till '96, I believe. I believe that was '95 actually,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that was the first time. But
Yep.
but you know what? I know Torey Lavello very, very well, and he took care of me all weekend. I got on the field, I got an autograph ball, I helped a lot of little kids out. I met some agents that are going to help this show. I met an MLB agent. I met a soccer agent that's friends with Ronaldo, and we're going to try to get him on. And that's hard to do, but he's his best friend. I'm
What
like,
did you think of the building?
City Field, I've been there many times already.
Oh, you've been there a lot.
I
Okay.
go all the time. I grew up a Met fan.
Oh, have you been to St. Louis, the new ballpark in St. Louis?
No, I've been to Pittsburgh though, and that one was
Okay, the St. Louis, I wasn't inside of it, but we were outside of it, me and Rob, and I think it blows the New York parks away. I think
I
it's
believe that.
beautiful.
The Pittsburgh one does.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
I mean, I drove 6 hours overnight just to see Dave Robertson got on the field with him.
Huh.
And, I love that stadium. I love that whole area. It was really cool.
Well, let me know if you want to check out the new nicest arena in the country at Belmont Park. UBS Arena is what they call it. So if you ever come into town, let me know.
I'll definitely let you know. We'll all go together. We'll get Rob to come down. It's Long Island. He's been out there. He lived out there. So
Oh yeah.
Get John over there when the Devils play him.
yeah, there you go.
I mean, if we coordinate that well enough, I'll fly up.
Yeah,
I've been inviting
playing
you
the
for
same
years.
thing, yeah, or whatever game.
absolutely. Definitely.
We'll do a
And
live
then-
show
and then-
together in person. UBS.
Yeah, it's a really nice building. You got to come check it out.
Sure. I know they have a new one. So
Yeah.
but but like I was saying, when I was driving, you should have heard those announcers on the radio.
Oh, I know. You don't have. I was
driving
listening
me
to.
crazy. I was
I was listening
Well,
to
why
the
don't you
Rangers.
tell us a little bit what the announcers were saying about the Rangers?
I was listening. Yeah.
They were like, this is 1994. We can't miss. This is a must win, but we're home. We're going to kill them. Blah, blah, blah. We can't lose. And
Really?
yes.
FAN, WFAN, or
I'm
on
like,
ESPN
I'm
radio?
like, I was so upset. I'm sitting there going, come on. Then when the game went on the night on the way home, I'm like, come on, Florida. Come on. I was like really upset. And it was weird because it reminded me what happened the week before with the Knicks. Because see, I'm a Celtic fan, and these people are flipping out with the Knicks like they're God's team. And I'm like, if there is a God's team, it would be the Celtics in basketball. Thank you very much. And the Lakers as a close second. I go, no. I go, New York, Madison Square Garden is a place for losers. I go, the Knicks, the Rangers, even
St.
though
John's.
never won it. Even though Liberty never won it.
Gotta agree with Phil.
The Garden is for the visiting team.
Yeah. Oh, they're great
Yes.
there. Yeah. Yeah, they're great.
Good for the visiting team.
And I'm sitting there like in game 3, like they're up 2 games to nothing, the Knicks, and all the fans are like, you're gonna lose game 3. And I'm leaning in the back of the bar, right? And he goes, oh, you're wrong. Oh, you're wrong. I go, look, you're a Yankee fan, right? The guy goes, yeah. I go, that's nice. You're gonna win the night. You're a Knicks fan? Yeah, you're losing. He goes, what do you mean? I go, my brother worked in the NBA. You're losing. I know this league, right? You're not winning. And that night they ended up losing. I go, you know what? When you play 2 back-to-back, there's 1 close one and 1 blowout. And that game 3 was a close one, and they lost. I go, you're going to get your ass kicked in the next game. I was sitting there going, Indy, brother, Reggie Miller, UCLA, right? And
Mr. E, do you have a Tampa Bay Rays update on the NHL Finals preview show?
I do not. I do not even want to talk about them right now.
Yeah, let's go back to hockey or something a little more interesting.
So, okay, so the 3 of you, do you believe this will be?
Whoa, I think we cut off.
Yeah,
Yeah, think we lost him.
I think Rob froze a little bit. It must be the cameras or the wire.
Well, I mean, I think he was probably asking us for like a game count prediction.
I think he's coming. It's the camera. He's coming back.
All right.
I've had internet issues today. My internet's down. I'm using my backup service, so you'll have to bear with me.
Nice.
It's okay.
But what I said was, do the 3 you believe Florida's going to win?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be a major upset, I think.
No, I'm going with Edmonton, Rob.
You're okay. I'm going with Florida still, but I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be like 6-7 games.
Yeah.
For the record, I'll say 7 to Florida.
I'm going to go with the offense. I'm going to stick with it.
How many games?
Yeah.
How many games, Bob?
Oh, okay. 6.
MVP?
Oh, McDavid. Let's go with the
McDavid.
strength. Let's go with the strength. Yeah, I'll say McDavid because he's so good. But I think they're going to. I like offense. See, I like offense in every sport, and I realize how important it is. And
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have more offense than the Florida Panthers, but the Florida Panthers kind of have that by design. They're able to score goals, but
right,
they kind of trap you in, and in the third period, like cats, they swarm you, and then they just eat you alive.
So, Kip, you have the Panthers in 5?
Could it go 6? Yeah, I'm going to go 5.
For the
Yeah.
record,
And
5.
Bobrovsky's going to win the Conn Smythe.
okay.
I'll go 5 as well. I'm tempted to say sweep, but I think the Oilers are too good for a sweep.
Yeah,
So maybe
trying to sweep a team-
elaborate a little more. Maybe a little more elaboration as to why you guys think Florida is going to be, dominant. Why are they so much better?
They're playing a physical game. They are, playing lockdown defense. They're running a 1-3-1, right? Let's not fool anybody. That's a trap. Frankly, I don't think Edmonton makes the adjustments to deal with the trap. I mean, look, the Rangers were really, really good offense too, and they could do nothing against that trap once it was set. You look at the defensive players for Florida, and they're pretty mobile too, and they're buying into defense as a team concept.
Oh yeah.
And they have the counter strike offense, right? Their whole offense is predicated on counter striking. So they're going to trap the Oilers, and they're going to turn it back on them. And the Oilers do not have the defensive wheels or the goaltender to keep up with what's coming at them from the counter strike offense. That's my take.
What if Skinner plays a great series? Unbelievable series.
I mean, if Skinner stands on his head, yeah, there's a chance. I'm not going to say Edmonton has no chance, right? But I think I think Bobrovsky is far better when it comes to making the timely save.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves. The last game, what were the shots on goal by the Dallas Stars on the road? I don't love the shots on goal stat, but when you have more than 20 and you have the time of attack, I watched both conference finals, and I think the East was just superior to the West. I think Edmonton did an unbelievable job uh, transitioning defensively to a more defensive style throughout the playoffs, and Skinner definitely got better in the last series. But I just think it's Florida's year. I felt that pretty much since Thanksgiving.
Well, they've always been tough, even when Tampa would take them out. I mean, I know Tampa and Florida for many a year gave Boston a hard time, but I'm not saying they can't win. I'm not saying they're not better because obviously they are. But the goalie for Florida never faced the kind of wave of offense that's going to come at him this time because Edmonton can really send it to you. And, but on the other hand, Florida can slow you down because they're physical. They just got to catch them.
Will be interesting to see if how Draisaitl, who's a coast to coast player, will get out of that trap and possibly cause problems for Florida. Of course, Florida has a good coach. They can adjust, I think, a little bit more easy than Edmonton can adjust to them.
I will say that if Edmonton does win it, my Conn Smythe pick would be Draisaitl. Definitely.
Draisaitl's been underrated. He's the most underrated player in the league, and he's probably the first, second best player in the league.
Right. It's going to be fun. It's going to be close. It starts Saturday, I believe. Am I right?
Yeah.
Saturday night. What do you think, Rob? You haven't really said anything.
I believe Florida's going to win, but I think it's going to be a very competitive series. I'm going on the record as a 7-game win for Florida.
Mhm.
It would not surprise me to see Edmonton win. They looked way better than the Stars, and I think it'll be competitive. But I think Florida is better. They have the edge, and I think they'll win.
Edmonton has to win one of the first 2 games, and I think they will, but it doesn't mean they'll win again.
Here's a question from me, and I think we can go around the horn with this. Who do you think wins the Conn Smythe for each team? Should they win the cup?
Well, I already said McDavid, and the goalie because he's going to have for Florida because he's going to have it all come right at him, and if he can stop all that, then he deserves to win it. I'm going to go with the goalie.
I can't say one Florida forward has outshined. You have Verhaeghe, who's been good. Now, Bennett probably was the MVP of the conference final, other than the goalie. Right? Bennett was definitely the MVP for that series. You have Kachuk. You don't have one forward that really stands out. And Bobrovsky's been solid. If he continues to play that way, I think he'll probably win it.
Right. And by the way, Kachuk is awesome. He's a great
Well,
player.
he's the entire package. He's physical. He had a critical error in that game 5, though.
Yeah, you make a few along the way.
Well, I know, but in the game that tight, where one goal means a ton, he made a huge error, and that was the only goal of the game for the Rangers until they pulled the goalie. It's funny, 2 of the last 3 Ranger goals in that series were with the goalie pulled in the last 2 minutes.
Well, I mean that's just the Rangers style, right? They were excellent with an extra man on the ice, no matter what the situation was, right?
Yep.
Whether it was power play or whether it was,
you know what the kicker is? His grandfather Kachuk played on the Rangers. Walter Kachuk. He was really in the 70s. He was a great player.
And now Ranger fans want to go after Brady Kachuk because they already got Zibanejad from Ottawa. They fleeced him for them. Now they have to get Brady Kachuk because their core, isn't loaded enough. So now they need to replace Zibanejad with Brady Kachuk.
Rob, Conn Smythe, who wins it for Edmonton? Who wins it for Florida?
I'm gonna go chalk and go Kachuk and McDavid. They're the best players to me.
My heart wants either Kachuk or Verhaeghe to win it for Florida because those guys are just heart and soul.
Yeah, I had Verhaeghe, but
and I love those kinds of players, right? They're not one-dimensional guys. Sam
Barkov?
Reinhart had a hell of a season too.
Yeah.
Let's not forget him.
Right.
Don't forget Barkov.
Yeah,
He's the best defensive forward in the league.
but defensive forwards aren't going to win the Conn Smythe.
But they
Um,
do when they have huge impacts in the playoffs and Stanley
oh,
Cup.
100%, but they're not going to win the Conn
Right.
Smythe. The Conn Smythe is either going to go to, the person who's providing the splashy offense or the goaltender
And
who's.
Edmonton doesn't have anyone like a Barkov. Even the Rangers, you could say they had Kreider, who's a good defensive forward. Who does Edmonton really have that's a really good defensive forward besides Draisaitl? Henrique?
Right. Right.
So if either team finds themselves down 2-0, can they come back or not? Both of them.
There's no way Florida will be down 2-0. First of all,
No, I agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I easily see that they split the first two games.
I think they're going to split the first two games.
Well, if it did actually happen, if Florida had a 2-0 lead, I guess Edmonton could come back a little bit because they're going home and they do have a good offense, but it'd be awful hard.
Florida's the best road team in the NHL. They're
Yeah.
probably they're better on the road than they are at home. To be perfectly honest, they play even in more tighter style on the road than they do at home, and they give you less.
If
Weirdly
the
enough, Boston won game 1 against Florida this year in Florida.
In Florida, exactly. And the
Yeah.
Rangers won in Florida as well.
Right. Yeah.
if the Panthers somehow get out to a 2-0 lead, I think the signs are pointing for them to sweep.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. E. I think the
No.
signs be pointing to a 4-5 game easily, nothing more.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a sweep no matter what. I just don't. But it's too hard to sweep, especially again with that kind of offense. It's too hard to stop them all 4 times, and that could be 5. Kip, you could be right on that, but I still think that Edmonton's going to be heard from. They keep bucking the odds. Everybody thought they weren't going to. I only know one person that actually thought they were going to go this far, and he's a super heavy bettor, and that's a friend of my friends.
Well, you had two people in my pool that had Florida over Edmonton, and then you had a bunch of people had Edmonton in my pool.
Right.
Finals the last few years. So Edmonton's been a pretty popular pick amongst bracket people the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, I
To go to
mean,
the finals. Yeah.
I think it goes back to Bob's point, right? They've got that elite offense, and I think that that's going to make a lot of people look at them and take notice. The problem is that they don't really have the physical grinding play, and they don't really have the defense in most years to make it. I think they have played more of a trapping style, and I think that that's what's common between these teams, right? But I think Florida executes it better.
Yeah. Matthias Ekholm will probably have to be the best defensive player in this series if Edmonton has a shot. I think he's going to have to play the series of his life.
Bouchard too.
Bouchard
could
obviously,
make a
but
splash.
he's comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ekholm is both sides of the ice. He's a physical presence and he can move the puck and shoot the puck.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bouchard is the guy who's going to skate the puck out of trouble, and he's going
Yeah.
to make that first pass. But he's probably not the guy you want clearing the crease, right? Let's be honest about that.
Right.
And then Darnell Nurse is going to have his hands full with that first line with Kachuk and Verhage, Reinhardt. He's going to have his hands full there.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys envision this matchup to be indicative of the future term success? Do you see Edmonton making another run next year? Do you see Florida making another run next year?
Hard to say.
That's a great point. You don't know in hockey. You just don't know. And that's the one thing why people love it so much, I think, because the Yankees are going to get sold and they're going to be great. Boston got the players finally around Tatum and Brown. They're going to be great. You know that, as long as Mahomes is in Kansas City, they're going to be great. But in hockey, you don't know nothing because it doesn't equate one year to the other. I mean, yeah, teams will still be good from the year before, but you don't know what's going to get hot. You don't know what's going to change. And that's what keeps the interest. You honestly don't know.
Well, football probably has that to an even greater extent than hockey because the injuries and then the roster overhaul more in football. But hockey, yeah, I mean, I expect a lot of the same teams in the playoffs next year. I mean, I know we're not doing a 25 preview show, but I would think Nashville's back in next year. I would think Colorado's back in.
Mhm.
Edmonton, Vancouver. I would think they're both in. LA. I mean, I would think a lot of the same teams are going to be back in next year.
But
Well, I mean, let's. Does anybody have what last year's playoffs looked like compared to this year's?
yeah, we lost to
Like,
Florida.
well, no, I mean like overall in
Well, yeah.
terms of the
Look. Well,
teams,
let's go
like
over the East. Let's go over
who
the.
was in and who was out
Well, let's go
comparing
over
the
it.
two years. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Islanders made it last year. They
Right.
made it this year.
Uh-huh.
Carolina made it last year. They made it this year. The
Okay.
Rangers made it last year. They made it this year. Boston, that's 4, right? Florida, 5.
Mhm.
Tampa Bay, 6. Toronto, 7. So 7 out of 8 in the East. The Devils did not make it from
Yeah,
the
and
previous year.
Washington made it. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, so 7 out of 8 in the East. So you're probably looking at
Yeah, but
similar thing next
what I'm
year.
saying is once that happens, you still don't know. Because once those playoffs start, anything's possible.
We're
Everything
kind of waiting for that change in the NHL, especially in the East more than any, and it hasn't happened yet because Buffalo hasn't stepped up to where they
they
should
have
be.
it.
Ottawa, they always have some internal issues. Detroit was right there. They just missed it this year. They kind of choked the last quarter of the season, if you want my honest opinion.
Right.
Philadelphia, the same. So we're kind of waiting for that transition in the East. If we're going to get some new teams like Columbus, perhaps, and it just hasn't happened to that consistent level yet. It will come, but hasn't come yet.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tampa's in danger of falling out of the playoffs next year, even if
Islanders as
Columbus
well,
is in.
very much so.
Yeah, I think that spot's vulnerable. The offseason does matter with respect to that. The Lightning have already made a trade to bring McDonough back into the fold. Um, but that's going to be real hard to make work with the cap because they've only got like 5 million in space. So I really don't want to see Stamkos go, but it's looking like it could be possible unless they can make some other moves.
Right.
And
Like
it's
again, though, once those playoffs, and the reason for it, it's a crapshoot once they start because, like, you have an idea once the other playoffs start. Who has the best chance, but the reason is because there's not a big home field advantage like there is in other sports. There is a slight one, but it's not nearly as big, and it's because there's no scoring. There's not enough, so you don't know. And that's really the truth. I mean, I remember so many years where like San Jose was the best record, gone. You know,
Yeah.
there was another year where who was it? Vancouver, gone.
St.
St.
Louis
Louis,
one year.
gone. So you really don't know, and it's because of that. Because you don't. I mean, when there's no scoring and it's nothing, anything could happen right down at the end. I mean, we ended up losing to Florida last year. We had a 1 goal lead with 1 minute to go in Game 7 and they tied it. I mean, they weren't very good last year. They weren't like they are now. They weren't even close to us. There's no way we should have blew that thing. And
well, I think last year's run for Florida, right, is what provided them the energy for
yeah,
this year
they're
because
definitely
they
living off it.
they came up short last year and they're motivated this year.
Right, right. And that was
And
the best.
I don't think they're as banged up as they were. We didn't realize how banged up they were, and I think they're a little more seasoned and just a little bit different. They don't have Duclair this year, but they have some other guys filling the role. And how about Kyle Oposo, huh? All but done in the NHL. He gets a shot, and here he is in the Stanley Cup final. He hasn't been in the playoffs since 2016, since he beat the Florida Panthers with the Islanders. And now here he is in the Cup final. I hope he gets his Stanley Cup, and he's probably going to retire after this year. So good for him. I think he'll get his Stanley Cup. That's great. I mean, that's you would never have thought that he'd have this opportunity.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. Guys, do you have anything more to add about this matchup and the season, the playoffs, anything before we
Yeah,
wrap up?
I mean, I think it's a great spot for the NHL that McDavid is here and Draisaitl. Let's not forget him and
Mm.
Bouchard. I mean, probably all three of them are probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and it's probably not going to be their last final. Although, unless things do change with contract situations, Should be very interesting going into the offseason with Draisaitl. He's got one more year left, and this will either be a cup win or a finals loss with an opportunity to go back later on. So it'll be very interesting to see what goes on with Draisaitl and the talk with his contract after this final. Should be very interesting game one to see what Edmonton can do, how they can counterattack in the first game. Should be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's kind of hitting the nail on the head, right? This series is going to come down to who counterattacks better, who sets up the defense, and who counterattacks better. That'll be an interesting test for both teams, I think. I think that even down to the end, this has been a great season. I think if you want to get down to like what the NHL would prefer for ratings, I think they would have preferred the Rangers over Florida.
Yeah, Rangers Edmonton.
Of
Yeah,
course.
Rangers Edmonton would have been an incredible ratings
yes.
Series. This one
Too
probably
bad, so
isn't.
sad.
Yeah, right. You know what? I'm still gonna watch it. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings are coming out of this playoffs.
So let's close
Boston,
shop.
Edmonton also would have been a good ratings, for the NHL.
Yeah,
The big original 6 team versus Edmonton is what they wanted, especially the Rangers, since they love the Rangers.
Right.
Let's
the
close
Rangers are
shop with this
huge
question.
rating.
Go ahead, E.
I was just saying, Rangers are a huge ratings market for the NHL.
Yeah. Did you show him your shirt, Kip? I don't think he saw it.
He's got to show, yeah, again, beginning and end of the show.
Yes.
You got to speak, Kip.
Any comment, Mr. A?
You got to comment, Kip, or the camera doesn't go on you.
Yes.
Rangers suck.
That's a comment.
Yeah.
There it is. So, closing question for you guys: who wins Game 1? I'm going with Edmonton.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm going Edmonton as well.
I'll buck the trend, and I'll say Florida.
Yeah, I think Edmonton's going to win one game, and it's going to be in Florida, and that'll be it.
Wow. And they're going to lose 4 in a row? Wow.
No, 3 in a row. Well, they could lose 4 in a row. I'm just saying, I think they're going to go home and lose 2 to everyone's surprise.
Okay. Oh, I don't see that, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Florida wins Game 1. I think probably Game 2 goes to Edmonton. I think 3, 4, and 5 go to Florida.
Wow, 3 in a row. It's hard to beat them 3 in a row when you can score. It's hard to beat a team that can score 3 times in a row.
So maybe if this ends up being a competitive series, we could do another link up and assess what's happened so far.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Guys, I appreciate you joining me. Any closing thoughts to share?
It's going to be fun. I can't wait. That's going to be exciting, like always. Hockey's exciting. The playoffs are a lot of fun. People that don't understand this, and weirdly enough, the newer people that are getting into it, they love it. I mean, it's fast moving, and today the world likes fast moving stuff. So we are the Burger King drive-through generation. Everything's quick. So yep, and it's a lot of fun. I love it.
From my point of view, there is no more intense trophy to win, right? Like the intensity for 2 months is just at a very high level, and when you get down to it in the Stanley Cup final, it's just, every round has to ratchet up that intensity a little more. So you get to the Stanley Cup final, and like every shot on net is important, and you feel that in your bones.
Right. Kip, Rob?
We'll see what happens, guys.
What about the Celtics?
We're going to win it all. I said that from the start of the year. We're the deepest team. We're the best team. You can say whatever you want about Tatum and Brown choking, but that's not the reality. They never had a center. You need a center. Centers still dominate, and we've got that. And Porzingis is playing in Game 1, and we never had Holiday. I mean, Pritchard can score. We got White now. I mean, we got guys.
This long break.
No one's beating us.
Does this long break hurt them, and the fact that they can give up a lot of points?
They can give up a lot of points, but they score so much, no one can stop them. And even though Luka and Kyrie are going to score, we're a whole team. They're a two-man team. And we could just throw too many things out there. They're never going to. I mean,
How many games? How many games?
Oh, okay. Five. Let's see. One, two. 6.
I
Boston,
think it's going 6 as well.
Boston hasn't lost a road game yet this year, which is very hard to do in the NBA.
Right, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. Mr. E, you got an opinion on that real quick?
You're asking me about basketball. I don't know the first thing about basketball. Who's even playing?
The Celtics.
Celtics and the
Just say
Mavericks.
Celtics are going to
Make
win.
your
They will
pick.
accept you.
Celtics and who?
And the
Dallas.
Mavericks.
I'll also
Oh.
say one thing about the final. If Edmonton does win it, I'd be very surprised if Draisaitl doesn't have the most points in this series.
Well, in that case, he'll probably win the MVP.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Basketball. I'll go Celtics.
Thank you, Mr. E. We accepted you. Come on.
I'm going Mavs in 6.
Oh no, Celtics in 6.
Look, I've heard the Celtics are good. I'm going on
the
other
best.
people's opinions because
They're the best.
I don't watch it enough to really have.
Yeah, I don't watch it enough.
I'm a Celtic fan. I'm telling you, we're the best team, and
The
I'm
conference finals weren't really great in basketball this year. The second round was better.
we were better than all the teams, though. That's the bottom line, and I've known that all year.
I think the Mavs are going to give you a battle, Bob, but
Hey, listen,
guys, again, thanks for joining us. So signing off for Kip, Mr. E, and Bob. This is Rob for the Sports Show with Bob Spino. Good night, everybody.